Hello, hello, and welcome to the only podcast whose conversations curve harder than Count Dooku's lightsaber. I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
I'm Max.
Whoa!
I'm Max.
And this is Force for Thought. No, sorry, Luke, I thought we were going to go again.
Welcome.
No, that one was on me. He had that right. Damn it. All right, now I'm already thrown off.
Hello and welcome back to Force for Thought. This week we're going to be talking Tales of the Jedi. Just to get out in front of this, I know they all kind of run together at this point. Tales of the Jedi was the first one with Ahsoka and Dooku. We're not talking Tales of the Empire, we're not talking Tales of the Underworld, although it may come up. The three of us rewatched the 6 Tales of the Jedi episodes over the last couple of days or hours or minutes for some of us. What did you guys think upon rewatch? First off, have you rewatched it since 2022 when it released? Max, I'll start with you.
In bits and pieces. There were a couple episodes that I hadn't seen in a very long time, such as the first one, Life and Death. But I had gone back and rewatched Resolve, which was the last Ahsoka episode of her 3-episode arc, and I've rewatched the Count Dooku arc. And going back and rewatching it to me affirmed everything that I've said about it before. So, to kind of rewind a little bit, one of the reasons I really wanted to do this episode was because we were talking about some of the other Tales of series, and I kept referring to Tales of the Jedi like it was by far the best, and you guys really seem to disagree. So I'm really hoping that your minds have changed, but mine has stayed the same. I think it is fantastic, and I definitely think it is the best of the 3.
Matt?
Much like a Bernie bro, my mind has not changed no matter what. Max, I was going to say, I owe you a big apology because rewatching this one, I 1000% agree. I think this is the best one of the 3. Sorry, Luke. I feel like I defected on you. But rewatching it, I was going to say the biggest thing is I think the first episode really hits harder when you have a kid for some reason. Like, I feel like I have not watched this since I've had Levi, and just saying baby Ahsoka is adorable, and like seeing her journey even from like that like a parent's perspective to be like, oh man, she just kind of goes off into this world and becomes like a great human being, which is great. I think that like weirdly hit me differently. And so yeah, I think this is the best of the 3. After rewatching it, the Dooku stuff really I found it intriguing. I mean, especially I think marinating on it more and after this podcast too, talking so much more about even how big actually that like Yaddle death is also. I think it does a great job also of not introducing, but like showing us bits and pieces of like, oh, here is Obi-Wan, here is Anakin, Mace Windu. Like we get these other like little cameos that pop up, and it is fun to see that stuff. Like it is kind of fan servicey, but it felt like rewatching this one, it felt the most big out of the other ones. It felt like the biggest event. And I liked actually the structure of it. And I won't keep talking, but my least favorite part is the ending of the Ahsoka arc, where the Inquisitor is like in it for 2 seconds, even though I feel like that was such
That's
a
your least favorite part?
Yeah, just do it more. I know it's like thematically, but just give me more of that cool ass Inquisitor.
I was not prepared. I was not thinking about Tales of the Jedi in relation to Tales of the Empire and Underworld, which I should have been. I knew this conversation was coming. And I'm also going to try not to let our last conversation about the arcs of Andor influence me too much, because here we get into semantics again about the validity of a 3-episode arc versus what are the best chunk of 3 episodes and episodes individually or the arc as a whole, because the Ahsoka arc is not an arc. It's just 3 Ahsoka stories. I don't see a through line there. And I do,
but they do split them up though, so it's like they are kind of admitting that as well, right? I mean,
they are, and I like that less. So I don't think Tales of the Jedi is my favorite because of that. Like, even though I don't love the Morgan Elsbeth arc, I love the Mirialan apprentice whose name Barasafi arc. And even though I probably outright dislike the Asajj Ventress arc, I absolutely love the Cad Bane arc, but they're all arcs, and I appreciate that more than what we got with Ahsoka. That being said, well, I guess we'll just get into it episode by episode now, because I want to start with Life and Death. Matt, I'm glad you said that about being a father, because yeah, my son was 1 month old when I saw this episode for the first time, and it was, yeah, I absolutely react to it and respond to it
Yes,
differently. I also absolutely love every time we get to experience and learn about some. I mean, it's not a random culture. The Togrutas are relevant in a lot of the different Star Wars, but any unique culture and whatever they do, I'm always just on the edge of my seat. Like I was watching, like, oh yeah, you're gonna go hunt. Oh, you bring your baby. Okay, I don't get it, but that's just cool to me.
It is crazy irresponsible. I really want to talk about that because it stuck out to me a lot more on rewatch. I was like, just this is their culture. Like the child is 1 year old and you're like, you are now old enough to go hunting. I pulled up IMDb so I could look at the episodes as we go. And the little caption for this episode is a child goes through a rite of passage with unexpected results. The expected result is tragedy. You are taking a 1 year old hunting. That is not a good idea. The unexpected result was that she survived.
To be clear, when you had one child, Max, or two children at the time, I think maybe, you were like, this is fine. But after you had your third, now you're like, this is crossing the line.
The whatever lesson that they were hoping to impart upon Ahsoka, that her mom was hoping to, the rite of passage that they were doing is they killed the beast, and then she like gets up close to it and she's like, oh, don't be afraid of death, just confront it, it's natural. Even that, I'm like, I get it in theory, but also, no, I don't get it.
Way too young of a lesson to be teaching this to a child. I was like, man, because the entire time I was like, the Jedi did this girl a favor. She was about to be a sociopath if she stayed here.
All the adults seem so healthy and well adjusted, but assuming that they went through the same thing as a 1 year old.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. And again, it was probably because I just haven't thought about it. I haven't seen this episode since it came out, but it was also definitely my least favorite of the 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Because the entire time too, how you said like the Ahsoka arc is not really an arc, like they are kind of disjointed. I keep trying in my head to make it make sense, and I keep using that lesson about death, and I'm like, okay, like I guess that kind of like is what carries over into some of the other episodes, because like she's not like wanting to kill, obviously, but she's okay with it, and I don't know.
Is there any sort of, I didn't pay attention to this, now I'm just like retroactively thinking about it, like is there some sort of passage of time with the Dooku arc, which I know there is, but like do those years line up with Ahsoka's years going forward? So like, is it, instead of like an arc, is it just 2 different stories taking place basically kind of concurrently? That's maybe a weird way to say it, but like the first episode, Ahsoka's a baby. The second episode, just say she's also a baby. But then like the third episode, we advance and it's Dooku's story again. So just say like 10 years have passed. Like, is there any sort of timeline, do you think, or no, that like...
Oh, so all the episodes are chronological? I see.
Yes. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yes, I think that is confirmed. Just looking through it right now. Oh, no.
It cannot be.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Because how old is Ahsoka during the Clone Wars? I mean, she's like 13.
14 to
like,
17.
She's very young. 14?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how old is Count Dooku in Justice? Because Qui-Gon Jinn is a young apprentice.
I thought Matt was saying that at first, too. He's not saying that Ahsoka and Dooku are the same age during each of their first, second, and third episodes. He's saying that in terms of like just of the timeline, baby Ahsoka was the first episode to happen in the timeline, and then choices, and then the Sith Lord, and then practice makes perfect. And I think that is true.
No, that can't be true.
Well, no, because Ahsoka's only 14 years younger than really old Dooku. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, she would have been born right before the events of the Phantom Menace, and Justice takes place well before the Phantom Menace. With choices, the Sith Lord would take place contemporaneously.
Yeah, since you guys are shitting on my theory, let me shit on this show then for a little bit. No, I was gonna say my one problem with the first with the Dooku stuff real quick is I don't like Qui-Gon Jinn's design. That is my he just looks like
Well, if
Luke
no one else has
Skywalker.
anything else to say about Life and Death, which I didn't,
Oh, sorry,
we can go
yeah.
ahead and talk about episode 2, because I actually had the same note. For how much I love Qui-Gon, I feel
Yeah.
nothing about this version of Qui-Gon, and I
He
can't
doesn't
quite put my finger on why.
because he looks like Luke Skywalker. Like literally, I call him not Luke Skywalker in that episode. Like he looks nothing like, I don't think, Qui-Gon Jinn whatsoever. Like if you saw that character out of context in Star Wars, I feel like people like that's a different design. That to me, Qui-Gon's design in here looks like Cade. Is this Cade Skywalker from the comics?
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
kind of look like
that's
him.
looks more like Cade Skywalker than it looks like Qui-Gon Jinn. Like there's like no, I know that his big distinct features is looking like Liam Neeson, but also like longer hair and like a beard. But to me, this just does not look like what I would imagine a young Qui-Gon Jinn to look like at all.
I didn't put my finger on the design being what turns me off, but when we see old Qui-Gon or whatever, normal or familiar aged Qui-Gon in the Sith Lord, I did not feel this way at all. I was stoked to see him on screen. Every time he spoke, I was like, yeah, Qui-Gon, favorite Jedi. And yeah, in Justice, I did not feel that way.
Were you disappointed that they didn't use Qui-Gon in the second episode choices instead of Mace Windu?
It's not just that I love Qui-Gon, but I also don't like Mace Windu. But Mace Windu is pretty perfect for that story. No, I'm not mad about it. Like the way that Mace Windu gets elevated to the council at the end of that is just perfect. You need Mace Windu there. I think that is excellent storytelling.
Weirdly, personality-wise too, I think really helps, and I also like seeing the Mace Windu and Dooku interactions since we know them so
Me too.
deep-seatedly. Yeah, go
Me
ahead.
too, but let's finish up our discussion on
sorry.
episode 2 because
I'm going all
Max,
over.
I know. I'm trying to keep us all on track because I do want
Thank
to talk
you.
about each episode because I feel like that's always the problem when we talk about Tales of the Underworld or Empire. We just talk about the arcs and vague ideas, but each episode deserves its own discussion because they are good independently. Max, what did you think of Justice episode 2?
It was good. I liked it a lot. I didn't have any of the problems that you guys are saying about Qui-Gon Jinn. I liked that. He was voiced by Liam Neeson's son, so that's a fun fact.
Oh, interesting.
And it has that good oh shit moment at the end when Dooku is force choking the senator. So I don't know. I like it. I like kind of like the lesson that Dooku and Qui-Gon take away from it and how they're kind of opposite, and you can start to see Dooku becoming kind of disillusioned with the Republic and therefore the Jedi and everything like that. I don't really have too much comments on the first Dooku episode, Justice, because it does kind of run into the second one. My only complaint about it is that it seems to be character development wise the exact same story for Dooku in both episodes.
But does
I
it
agree with
further
that.
it? It's just like a hat on a hat a little bit.
Yeah. And like they're both good. Like I do like both episodes. So like sticking with episode 2, Justice, the whole thing about going to this planet and they have to go to the poor side of the planet where the senator's son has been kidnapped and everything, and the kind of, I don't know, I think it's silly case of Stockholm syndrome that this senator's son has, where he's like, Dad, I didn't know people lived like this. It's like, I don't know, like these people did kidnap you though. Like let's
Let's not
keep
get
some
away from that
perspective
fact.
here.
Yeah. And also, that's your fault, child. You should learn about the world a little bit more before you go out and do it.
Yeah. This is probably my least favorite episode of the series. Because the Qui-Gon thing bothers me.
Oh.
Also, I like the story about the senator.
Just the design of Qui-Gon bothers you that much?
I wouldn't have called it that, but I don't know what I would have called it before. I don't like Qui-Gon in this story, and that's the only time I'm not
agree.
over the moon in love with Qui-Gon.
But
I don't want to throw all my
bothers you that much though. So much so that you
I don't
prefer
want to
Life
throw all
and
my
Death?
cards.
Because Life and Death is definitely my least favorite.
No, I like Life and Death. That's probably my second least favorite, but the reason I don't like Justice as much is not just Qui-Gon, but also the story with the senator and the people he represents and not representing them fairly and exploiting them. That's the skeleton of a good story, but you just can't tell it in 15 minutes. Like, I don't think they could have told it any more efficiently. It just needs to be longer for it to be satisfying to me.
I think seeing
And so,
Dooku's
yeah.
saber be blue is enough for it to be over life and death, to be honest. Like, that is a cool moment, because you see the hilt a second before it ignites and you're like, that should be red, like, it just in my mind, right? But
Seeing
that is a cool
lightsabers at
moment.
all makes it better than life and death.
Justice also had my only jaw drop of this rewatch when there was like one shot when they're doing the lightsaber stuff, and the kidnapper that we had interacted with already, she would like fall into the ground, and then it like zoomed in on her as she's about to get shot, and then Qui-Gon's lightsaber comes in from out of frame and deflects it, and then it zooms out to Qui-Gon. That was sick. That was
there's some
that got
good
me.
moments directing in this. To go back to my biggest gripe with this is the Qui-Gon design, Maxwell. I feel like every Jedi that we've seen ever starts off young and dumb, because that's how kids are. We get it. And then you advance, you get older and maybe get more cynical, but you become more wise. And to me, I just feel like Qui-Gon, maybe it's just my headcanon, is always kind of the same person. Because I feel like he is like this weirdly quiet, stoic, sassy bitch is what I would describe Qui-Gon as, because he feel like is funny, like especially Living Force, just inherently kind of funny, but also very stoic, and he's taking chances, right? He's pretty loose, but just to have him like even just being like, I'm not gonna wear a shirt under my robe, and he's like jacked, it just doesn't feel like Qui-Gon, which is such a small little gripe. But I just, same thing with like, again, when I look at this design, if you look on like the Disney Plus tile of just episode 2 Justice, like if I saw that out of context, I would just think that is like a weird version of Luke Skywalker. Like, it just looks like the medium brown hair, like the same Jedi robes that like Luke would wear in A New Hope. Like, to me, it just looks like we've seen that before, and I just feel like there's a million different things that you could have done significantly more interesting than what they did with Qui-Gon, especially for that kind of character. That'd be like, oh, this is the first time we're going to be able to see Qui-Gon in animation as a younger person, right? I don't think we've seen him younger in other versions, and this just seems like something that you could do a bigger swing on. Like, I don't know, if I was to design him, it'd be like either hair or like even just like style. I know he's younger and whatever, but I just feel like there's something you could do with it, and I just feel like it's uninteresting, and maybe even facial sculpting doesn't look like Qui-Gon Jinn. Like, Count Dooku to me looks like a younger Count Dooku. But like, I'm like, I don't know who this man is. This, again, looks like Cade Skywalker to me.
The more you talk, the less I agree with you, but the
What,
fact
you
that
don't think-
I can't put my finger on it, and so I can't dispute what you're saying when I feel the same way, but that's not what I would have said. So I don't even know what I'm trying
With that
to
being
say
said,
here.
you are the Qui-Gon expert, so I will.
You guys feel the same way for different reasons. I mean, look, clearly there's something there. I understand. This is an animated TV show. It is a visual medium. So, if you don't like the way it looks, I understand that is a valid criticism that you have. But for me, I don't see that at all. I think this is a wild nitpick in my opinion, where it's like I want to see a mock-up of like 5 different versions of what they could have gone with and which one you guys would have preferred and why. Because to me, it's just like, that's it. Like, what else do you want? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But you gave
I
a
don't
lot
even
of
know if it's
description,
not that.
a lot of description for what you thought he should look like. So
I don't know. Maybe it's some of the story stuff when Qui-Gon goes and rescues the senator's son, and then has him go save his dad, and it's like, oh, Qui-Gon, take some more agency with Dooku and stand up to him, but that you can't really do that. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on why I don't love Qui-Gon in this episode, and so I'm inclined to point to where Matt's pointing, because agreeing is helpful, but
There's
I don't know.
some bad like photoshops out there of like basically just using Liam Neeson from younger versions of Liam Neeson. But like, in this one picture that I'll send in the general chat, and which is probably not like fun to. What the hell is this general chat? It's me and Luke in a wedding in a suit. Sorry, I'm just looking at our general
That's
chat.
at Max's
on,
wedding.
Yeah, I know what it's from, but when was that posted and why? But I'm gonna I'll send an image, and this is important because we're not gonna show it anyway. But like, there's something about it I think that looks a little better, just like a little beard or something. Again, imagine this as an animation. Anyway.
Edge of my seat.
Oh, so you're waiting? All right, sorry. It downloaded an HTML file versus the actual fucking image, and now I lost it. I'll get back. Let's move on for a second.
Yeah, that's fine.
Choices. Mace Windu episode 3. We'll start with, well, Matt's doing his thing, so we'll start with Max again. What'd you think?
I liked it just as much as Justice. Again, my criticism is character development wise, it seemed to not advance Dooku's position at all. It was just the exact same thing where he is currently a Jedi. He's starting to see the cracks in the Republic and the Jedi and some of their faults. And I don't know. It seemed to be the same thing twice. But I'm curious, Luke, to hear what you have to say because you mentioned it very briefly. But I'm curious to talk more about the conditions of Mace Windu's promotion to the High Council.
I definitely agree that it's the same character arc and beat for Dooku. It's a little different where choice justice is like the way the senators react and treat the Jedi and the public, and then choices is the way the Jedi act and behave themselves, and it's like the outside looking in and then the inside looking out. So it's a bit different in that regard, and I like seeing both perspectives, but yeah, but both times it's just like Dooku slides down on the Jedi favorability scale in his head, and I don't know. It's like I don't like saying I don't like something when I don't have a better idea of how it should be, but that does seem suboptimal, I'll say. The only note that I had written down from this episode was Mace Windu probably shouldn't be so condescending to Padme that murder is not in Dooku's character in Attack of the Clones, because he's unhinged here when he was a Jedi, and then after this he leaves the Jedi, and Mace Windu seems to think higher of him at that point. So that seems a bit hypocritical, but as you know, he is the worst Jedi ever, so it's not out of character.
Beyond Ki-Adi-Mundi?
Oh, no, second worst. You're right.
There we go.
No, Ki-Adi-Mundi sucks because Ki-Adi-Mundi sucks as a person. Dooku sucks as a Jedi. So I guess that's still not the same.
So which one do you dislike more?
I don't know. They both suck.
Well, really dug your own grave there.
It's funny because I don't have a third least favorite. I like 100 good Jedi, 2 bad ones, and not really any in between.
Big fan of Jarl Poof. I do like Jarl Poof, actually. For me, this episode, I like it. This is my favorite out of the 3 that we've been discussing so far. And I agree that it is the same story, but the thing I like about it that's a little bit different than Qui-Gon Jinn versus Mace Windu is the fact that I feel like in Qui-Gon's story, it's like he has like more morality on his side at the end of that story. And so I feel like you can see like him by himself mentally is going in towards the light, and Dooku's going more towards the dark. And then I think within the Mace Windu story, he's sure morality-wise isn't really a part of the play. It's more or less how he is fitting into like the Jedi and the Jedi Council and the Jedi culture. So I feel like he is like ranking up in that regard. So it's, to me, it's one of them is personal and the other one is almost like professional, if that makes sense. So, and then Dooku consistently is sliding down, like you said, the entire way, which I like. And I also like that we end with Mace's inauguration, basically, but then I also like that we kind of top it off in the next episode, which is a nice little, like, I'm glad that the next episode ends with Dooku, and then we kind of slide back into some positivity.
Yeah, that's everything I had to say about this episode. Max, was there anything else?
No, I'm very excited to get to the next one.
The next episode, definitely my favorite of the series. Probably one of my favorite of the... I just said series. I don't know. Of all 3 series,
The Tales
the Sith
of...
Lord. Yes.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll let you start it off. What'd you think of this
Yeah.
one on rewatch?
I mean, I'm pro Yaddle in any sort of context. And so, yeah, I'm pretty pro this. It's also like Yaddle dying is like a really harsh moment. Like, it just, that slice at the end of the episode is like actually kind of hard to watch and then just kind of fades. I love seeing Palpatine. I think that's great. Obviously we got some Qui-Gon Jinn here as well. I like the setting. Yeah, no, this episode is the best. I don't have a ton of notes besides like this one is fun to watch. It also reminds me a lot. I'm not, surprised. It's almost like it's referencing itself. Is like the attack between the fight between Yoda and Dooku, which makes a lot of sense because it's the same species versus Dooku. So that
I
makes
saw
a lot of
similarities
sense.
there as well.
But yeah, no, I like I like this episode. I have nothing interesting to say about it. That's the problem.
I also really like this episode. It's not quite the same as Justice where it needs to be longer, but I also would have really liked if this was longer or if it had like 2 or even 3 episodes purely about this, because the Dooku stuff we get is great. The Sidious stuff is great. The Yaddle stuff is, again, just the skeleton of what would have been a really interesting story, other than the fact that she tries to bring him back and she dies, and that's cool, and we like Yaddle. When she met, I didn't remember this about Yaddle until this rewatch. When she says that she agrees with Dooku and she has stepped down from the council and Qui-Gon did not have to die, I was like, oh my god, make this the whole arc. Like this is what I want. And then she dies immediately after, which is a bummer. But that was captivating because I've talked about that before too. That it bothers me that the Jedi Council is just sitting on their ass and they're like, "Oh, Qui-Gon, you found a Sith Lord? Okay, go fight him again. We're all gonna stay here, but we'll come for the party after." Like, the thought that Yaddle had stepped down before the funeral, and that's why she wasn't, or well, she was still invited because it wasn't only council members. And she said we were going, but she had stepped down from the council, and I didn't even remember that as a story beat. And so I wish that they had time to go into that more, because I loved that. And of course, also
is Yaddle not at the funeral on Naboo?
I meant to check it, but I'm confident she's not now. I'll pull it up now if you want to give me your thoughts on this episode, Max. But
Yes, please do.
No,
because
I don't
now that
think
you're
she
saying
is.
that. And that made me, I had the same thing to jump out at me when she said that, because I've talked about before about how they've just discovered that the Sith is back and a member of their High Council is missing. And as far as we know, and nowhere else in any other Star Wars content, that came up as like a major plot point. And they were just like, oh, that's weird that she's gone. All right, let's fill her seat. But it does make more sense that she stepped down. They might not even know she's dead at all. Which is kind of just like another sad layer that it brings to the whole thing. But I like the Sith Lord quite a bit. I agree. I think it is the best episode in any of the 3 Tales of series. I think the Yaddle content is captivating. I disagree that we need more of it. I kind of like the amount that we got for the character. And that is the important thing about these Tales of shows and why I think Tales of the Jedi is probably the best one. The most important thing about this series are the characters that they pick, because it has to be the right character with just the right amount of background that you can still share new information, but it's also characters that we already know and like and are familiar with. And I feel like Ahsoka and Count Dooku were both very well-established characters that they were able to do that with at the time. Now, I mean, this was 3 years ago, and we've gotten a lot more Ahsoka and Dooku content since then. But like with the newer shows, right? The most recent one, Tales of the Underworld with Cad Bane and Asajj Ventress, I feel like those were really good picks as well. Probably a better pick for Cad Bane because we had seen him more than... well, no, that's not true. We've probably seen Asajj Ventress equally because she also had an appearance in books too. But probably not as big of names as Dooku and Ahsoka were even back in 2022. And that's probably why I think people still prefer Tales of the Jedi. And then Tales of the Empire, we've talked about it before. I don't mind the Morgan Elsbeth arc, but I feel like picking her as the character was just like a huge swing and a miss. Nobody really cared about her. And then the, what was the other girl's name? Barriss Offee. Her selection was interesting because I feel like the Clone Wars fanboys were really excited because they were like, yes, this is like a Clone Wars thread that was never, closed up, and we can finally go back and circle back to this. But no one else really knew who she was or cared about her or anything like that. So I feel like Tales of the Jedi did the best job of selecting the characters to follow. And this third episode in the Dooku arc, the Sith Lord, was a great conclusion to the Dooku arc. And one of the reasons I bring up and dislike that the first two episodes of the Dooku arc are basically the same thing character development wise is because this third one is the exact opposite, where instead of Dooku being a Jedi starting to kind of like see the faults and starting to turn to the dark side and kind of beginning that transition, we kind of get the other end of it where he's betrayed. His words were that he's betrayed everyone he knows. He's done all of these things for the Emperor, but you still see the cracks going the other way, where you still see the light in him, right? Because he still he confronts Palpatine when he sees him about how he's gone too far. You let Maul kill Qui-Gon. He didn't have to do this, and that side of Dooku I thought was so much more interesting to see than the side of Dooku where he starts to kind of turn to the dark side. I liked bad Dooku being compelled to the light at the very end. Maybe it's just because we know where his character goes, right? Obviously, he doesn't turn to the light side or anything like that. So this just kind of makes it more tragic, where it's like, oh man, he was so close. But yeah, and then Yaddle's death, I agree. It's a great gut punch. Yaddle, the inclusion of Yaddle, going back to character selection, is a great side character to also use because it's somebody who's well established in the canon. Like, everyone knows her as like one of the 12 High Council members in the Phantom Menace, but like that's about it. And so I feel like everyone was pleasantly surprised to be like, wow, I did not know that I wanted more Yaddle content, but apparently I did. And that's why I kind of disagree that we need more Yaddle content, because you don't want to like give too much information about these characters that we don't really know that much about in this format. I'm not saying obviously we can't never learn about new characters or anything, but I just feel like Tales of isn't the place to explore new characters or unknown characters or anything like that. But all that said, I love this episode. It's I would say my favorite episode in all of the Tales of series is.
Interestingly, do you remember a few weeks ago when we were discussing Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, and we talked about Terrace Anube's corpse being in Fortress Inquisitorius, and I said he was the most well-known Jedi whose death was not explicitly covered at the time. Yaddle's death was more well-known. Yaddle was more well-known than Terrace Anube, and her death was not explicitly covered, but these were being developed at the same time. They came out within months of each other, so I still count that as you couldn't have included her because her story was being told at the same time somewhere else. And I also still stand by that Terrace Anube was the best choice for that, because he was the most popular Jedi that we don't know what happened to their body after Order 66. Shakti would also be okay, but there's a lot of like deleted scenes. She died like 3 times in 3 different stories in 3 different ways. So I think that would be a bad idea also. But I digress with that. I just want to keep it at the front of your mind in case you have forgotten and aren't thinking about it, because I haven't stopped thinking about it for whatever weeks or months since I brought it up last time. Yaddle was not at Qui-Gon's funeral. Confirmed. It even pans down when you see all the Jedi at the parade, and it pans down to Evan Peel and then Yoda at the bottom, and it's like, that's where the short people are. That's where she'd be. She's not there.
That is such a great continuity that I really appreciate. That's awesome. I did not realize that. Because like I said, everyone knows Yaddle is a member of the High Council only from the Phantom Menace, but I've never once noticed who was and who wasn't present at the funeral at the end. But clearly there was one nerd at Lucasfilm, whose name is probably Dave Filoni, that was like, you know what's always bothered me? Yaddle wasn't at Qui-Gon's funeral. Like, what the hell's up with that bitch? And he's like, no, we're going to cover it. Don't worry.
You don't see the entire council. Like, you don't see Oppo Rancisis or Jarl Poof either. You only see like 4 or 5, or maybe 6.
They resigned as well. Maybe there was a schism. The return
maybe
of the
Yaddle
Sith
was Oppo Rancisis's master. Do you know that? I just learned that when I was doing this deep dive into Yaddle's lore.
I did not know that. Where was that stated?
I don't know. Wikipedia
Don't
is
say
where I
it.
read it.
No,
Didn't
don't say
see-
it in front of Max.
It's reliable information. That
No,
being said,
it's not, because you can look at what they cite as that fact, and it's going to be like, oh, this is according to some sort of trading card that came out in 2006, and it's like that's not canon. But whatever.
that similar to that, Google AI, when I first Googled was Yaddle at Qui-Gon's funeral, said she was, and she was not.
Never trust Google AI. It's always the worst.
Yeah, I've
will
noticed that as well.
Yeah, it's horrible. I will note, Max. Oh, the one I think that we needed to get to double down episodes of Dooku to really solidify the way he's going. But then I think the third episode is that almost gut punch in the fact that he has sacrificed so much and he has so much more to go. I mean, I love that line where Palpatine's like, "And I'm gonna ask like a lot more of you." That is like a scary line, and you know he will, and know he does. And so I feel like we did need to get to that point though before. I don't think we could see him being like a normal nice guy the entire time. I think we needed to see, like, I feel like most stories are either you're debating the entire time like Anakin, and then you can see the light throughout, and then you know, it's kind of the antithesis of Anakin, right? Like he is debating kind of, you know, what he's doing throughout the story, even when he's bad, and then when he's on the dark side, and then eventually he's just like, nope, I am Darth Vader, and that's it. And I like the opposite for Dooku, where he's like, I'm bad, and you finally kind of get to actually who he is as a person once all the other stuff has gone away, and you realize that there is like some good there, and there's a moral compass, which is more heartbreaking, I think. The fact that he is, you know, there's no turning back after all the stuff that he's done.
Oppo Rensis and Yaddle must have talked about it in The Living Force. I know we all mostly, and I can't think of a direct time when they mention it, but they're both in that book. I'm sure they talk about it in there. In addition to other things, it was probably originally stated on a trading card or something similar. But that's one of those things that they just make canon because why not? It gets to this point, you know.
And that's fine. Once it becomes canon, then it is canon. I'm fine with that. And if they cite the Living Force as their reason for that, then I would trust that, and that would be totally fine. But it's probably going to cite some sort of bullshit encyclopedia that came out in 2015 when everything was rebranded called All You Need to Know About Star Wars. And it's like, not everything in that's actually true or canon. And it's what causes a lot of confusion and heartache, in my opinion. I don't know. But speaking of confusion and time, my heart aches, yes, when I read a Wikipedia citation. I'm like, why do you think this? Count Dooku's timeline is interesting. And I think it came up in Master and Apprentice is when I had to do a deep dive on this, because he left the Jedi Order 10 years before the events of the Phantom Menace. But he's still allowed in the Jedi Temple and access to the records and carry a lightsaber.
What? Really?
Yes. And I forget where that is confirmed, but there's like 3 different time frames between this, Master and Apprentice, and Dooku Jedi Lost. I think it was Dooku Jedi Lost that like retconned it to explain it. But that wouldn't make sense if that came out after Master and Apprentice. Did
I found a
Dooku
Reddit
Jedi Lost
thread
come out
about
after Master Apprentice?
No, Jedi Lost was early.
Was
It
it?
was the first audio book, the first audio drama for Star Wars. A Reddit thread, someone said, as Master and Apprentice showed, Dooku was still allowed to come and go from the temple even after he left the Order.
So Master and Apprentice retconned it between Dooku Jedi Lost and Tales of.
What was the retcon?
That he was allowed to come and go because someone pointed out between Tales of the Jedi and Dooku Jedi Lost said that he left the Jedi Order 10 years before the events of the Phantom Menace, and Dooku Jedi Lost clearly depicts him in the Jedi Temple, but the retcon is from Master and Apprentice, where it says, oh yeah, he left 10 years before that, but he was like welcome to come and go. Like he left on good terms with the Order.
He still had his security badge at work.
Yes, it's not a retcon though. We talked about this in our retcons episode a long time ago, and it was
depending on how correct,
big
yes.
semantic debate. They're not changing anything; they're just further expanding on something.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
It was not a specific change. It was an explanation for why there was a seeming inconsistency.
Yes. the other notes I had, this episode 4, the way they, I don't know if it's a writing or a directing thing, but the way they told the episode was great. They had to have a time jump because they had the scene with Qui-Gon before he dies, and then it jumps to that scene in the courtyard at the Onetti tree, and Dooku's like, I used to bring Qui-Gon here as a boy, and then Yaddle says we're going to Naboo for the funeral. Like that was such a gut punch. Like, you know the story, you know where it's going, but the way they presented that information was masterfully done. And my last note from the episode, which probably could have been a force for thought because it's so silly, the beginning of this episode when he's deleting Camino from the archives, and it's very loudly narrating everything he does because it's a TV show and not a book, and so he can't just be reading it. But there's like people around. It's like, are you sure you want to delete Camino from the archives forever?
He's like looking around. Shh, quiet.
Hit the mute button, bro.
That's fine.
I also just like canon and continuity and timelines. I'm weird. I don't know why. But I like knowing that this is going on right after Qui-Gon and Darth Maul encountered each other in Tatooine. Like, as Qui-Gon is panting on his ship and introducing Anakin to Obi-Wan for the very first time, is Count Dooku walking into the temple to delete Camino from their records. It's just fun to think about that, you know? Like, this is a whole universe. Things happen contemporaneously. I
know.
like that.
Do you ever
Yeah,
think about
that is fun.
When you're at work? Do you ever think about, like my family is like living their lives, like they're out also at work. Like, what's going on there? Like, that's crazy. I thought about
Matthew,
that today.
I think about that all the time with my oldest daughter when she started going to school, because it's the wildest thing. She's having a whole other life. I'm like, she comes home from school, and I'm like trying to have a serious conversation because I'm like, I want to know every single thing that you did at school today. Like, what did you do? And then she says like one thing, and it's like trying to like, pull teeth. I'm like, well, did you play with friends? Did you color? Did you go outside? What was your snack like?
Is that funny? Because I feel like when you're a teenager, you're like, oh my god, mom, blah blah. And now, but like being a parent, I'm just like, oh my god. Like when Levi's 15 months old only, and like when I come home, I'm like, so what did you do today? Like, tell me, like exactly what you said. I was just like, what did he eat? Did he enjoy it? How did he react to this thing? Did
Every
it thunder?
week, every week her teachers post pictures, and I look through the photo album, and I'm like studying it to look for my daughter, like even in the background of the pictures that she's not fully in, just to get a glimpse of like, what is she doing? Like, what's she doing there?
It's so
That's how I feel about Star Wars too. I think that's why I like Star Wars so much, and why I like reading all the books. Like, I don't think all of the Star Wars books, I would say most of the Star Wars books, I don't necessarily enjoy like as a book, but I like read it as I would a history book, where I'm just like, what is going on with this thing at this time? And why I usually tend to dislike the Star Wars books that don't really have anything to do with anything. Like, if it's just like a whole story that's just like character development for Mace Windu early on in his years, I just hung up my Glass Abyss book, which is why I'm kind of calling it out now. Like, that doesn't do much for me, but like other stories like the Battlefront books or something, when I'm like finding out what's going on behind the scenes of like this very specific battle or something, I'm like, that is so interesting.
I couldn't agree more. It's I sound like such a moron when I say like I don't like books, and I wouldn't be reading this book if it wasn't Star Wars. Like, that's not to say it's a bad book. That's just why I'm here. All right, that does it for our conversation on the Dooku arc. Practice makes perfect, episode 5. This episode I liked a lot more than I remembered, because I remembered it being unimportant and superfluous and a waste of my time. This time I was able to just like enjoy it because I wasn't expecting anything, and I did enjoy it. Yeah. It's not really fair because the nature of Tales of the Jedi and telling a story in this era, we get to see Tara Sinube and Plo Koon in the background, and Caleb Dune and Depa Billaba, and Rex, and at times it's like Dave Filoni just threw a handful of action figures at my face, and it's like, thank you, I like this. It's not exactly a great episode of television, but I'm having a nice time.
But I'm having a nice
Stacey
time.
Sorry, I feel bad.
No, I didn't. Yeah, Stacey Tin and I'm a Gundy were having a conversation in the
Yeah.
temple halls.
You pronounce
What'd
it
you
I'm a
guys think of this
Gundy?
one? I do.
It's pronounced I'm a gun die because he was created
gonna
for a
die.
single episode of the Clone Wars in which he dies. So they named him I'm a gun die. I think that's probably one of the funniest things that they've ever done in Star Wars. I think I had the exact opposite reaction when I rewatched Practice Makes Perfect. I enjoyed it a lot less than I kind of remember. It seemed repetitive and overwrought. What's the word I'm looking for here? It kind of just beats you over the head with it because the entire thing is her being swarmed by clone troopers and having to learn how to just defend herself from all sides. Like the entire
Get it? 'Cause
episode.
it
That's
happens
That's
later.
all it was. Yes, they beat you over the head with that at the end of the episode. And I don't remember that being in the episode because I remember looking back and I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense why she was able to survive all the clone troopers and the ending, the Clone Wars, and like everything makes sense. But then I'm rewatching the episode and it ends with her and Rex walking out onto the deck of the Venator class ship destroyer, and Rex says, well, let's hope all that training paid off. And it's like, all right, like I don't know. I understand it's a cartoon, but I'm like, too on the nose.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
done without that scene also. It's one of those things where it's like, as an animated series, you have the option to redo or add another moment to any scene at any time like that. And like they had just finished the Clone Wars, and so it's like, why not? Like we could just do it. You know, you don't have to de-age anyone or try to recreate something. Like it's all still there. So I don't want to call it a temptation because that makes it sound like I like it even less than I do. But I see why they did it, and I see why you don't like it.
When can you look for me when the series finale of Clone Wars came out? You said it
2020.
came out before it was 2020?
Yes.
Okay.
Season 7 of the Clone Wars.
So that would have been probably before they even started production on this show because this was late 2022. Because what I was going to say about that
And Dave
moment
Filoni
was
only does
if
one
they
thing at a
did
time.
it, that's true. If they did it differently and they included that scene in the Clone Wars episode where they walk out and he says, let's hope all that training paid off. And then they kind of walk out there and the viewers just kind of
that'd be
like,
sick.
I don't know why they said that, but it's like, I guess that's something that you would say, like, yeah, presumably they've both trained their entire lives. Let's hope that training
wouldn't-
paid off.
yeah, you wouldn't
but
think
then
anything
you
of
get
it, that
this
she's a
episode
Padawan.
2 years later, you're like, oh my God, that's what he was referencing when he specifically said this. And then like it makes like that connection. I don't know. That's going back to my obsession with continuity and timelines and everything that I think is fun. I would have liked that. Having
would've
done
been
it
sick.
all in the
Yeah.
same episode was a little heavy-handed.
And also what bothers me about it is that is when they're going in to like see all the clones after they've been hunted this whole time. And she'd already removed the chip from Rex. The time when all the clones are standing around her in a circle and she does like the same fight choreography sequence had already happened. So it's like, it already paid off, Rex. It's, I don't know. That scene, yeah, the more I think about it, I don't like. Matt, what'd you think of this episode?
I did not get my thoughts. Well, no, I gave my thoughts. I saw CC 10, so I was pretty satisfied. This episode was fine. Like I said, I mean, overall, I like this better the second time watching it. I think with that perspective of like being a dad, which is like such a weird minuscule, seems minuscule in the fact that it's like the first episode makes sense and then the rest of it doesn't. But just like Max is talking about his daughter in backgrounds of photos, I was like, oh, Ahsoka goes out and is just an adult. I like this episode because it feels like fan service. Like I almost miss this amount of like fan service, like you said, Luke. Like throwing action, fan service is a harsh. I feel like it has a weird connotation to it, like a bad, like it's negative. But like
It
I like the way
does,
you
and
said
that bothers
it. Like,
me as well.
yeah, I agree. So I'm not saying it in a negative way. Like I like what you said. Like it felt like Dave Filoni threw action figures at you, and that is when an animated show like this is what I want. And so I kind of miss that. I realized I miss this sort of style in the other shows where I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of want to just see like other cool characters kind of go in and out of the background and see how they're living, and be like having conversations with each other. Like we have not gotten to see that because, in movies and stuff too, obviously there's like every little detail has like some sort of purpose, and you're driving a story. But to see Stacey Tin have a conversation in the background, that satisfies me for some reason.
Yes.
So I
Is Stacey
overall
Tin your favorite?
You know I have an affinity for Stacey Tin. I like Plo Koon better, but I have an affinity for Stacey Tin.
I don't think I did know that about you. Because
Really? I knew
everyone has
that.
that kind of pet favorite background Jedi, and I like knowing
Yeah.
that yours is Stacey Tin.
Yeah,
Matt's a
had,
tinner. That's what you call yourselves, right?
Yes, yeah.
Only they can use that
It's
word.
yeah, it's because he was a great action figure. But yeah,
Yes, that I agree that there's a time and place to do this kind of, again, not fan service, but throw action figures at your face. And like, you can't do that in Andor, but not everything is Andor, and there are places that you can do it, and I like that.
same.
You know what I was just realizing? I was about to say that mine is probably Eth Koth, but Eth Koth is basically just Agent Kohler. And Agent Kohler, Stacey Tin, and Kit Fisto were all the three who got murdered immediately by Palpatine.
Well,
That's so funny.
Mace
What are you
Windu
guys
really
going-
wrecks that scene for
Yeah,
us.
that's why we all hate Mace Windu. We're like, fuck that guy.
what?
Got our boys killed.
Like, so what are you guys doing for Halloween? Because I feel like we just figured out our costumes. Actually, no. What are you guys doing this Sunday for your son's birthday party, Max? We all walk in as
Ooh.
different characters.
Not dressing up as Star Wars characters because my daughter is going through quite an anti-Darth Vader phase. She is
No.
terrified of him. You know why? Because we were on vacation recently, and somebody, not going to name names, was watching Star Wars in the family room, and my daughter walked in, and she started watching it with him, and it was the end of Revenge of the Sith when... Obviously, he's all burnt and screaming on the hospital bed, and these robots are grafting on like this, robotic exoskeleton. I don't know. I'm trying to describe it in as gnarly of words as I can, but I can't think right now. Anyways,
Well, we
it's
know the
scarred
scene
her.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she hated
but
it.
Is the
So
person you're
she's
talking
terrified.
about Luke?
It was, yes.
Sorry.
I was say watching Star Wars in
To be fair, I'm pretty sure she was also watching it with my wife in the room too, though. So
I'm trying to
that's
find...
so,
There it is. Star Wars Republic number 65 has been my holy grail for a while now. Because it's got Kit Fisto on the cover, and it's one of the very few pieces of Star Wars content that has Kit Fisto on the cover that I don't have. It's a pretty hard to find issue from what I'm gathering. I don't seek out these things that I want online because then it's like, where do you stop? You know, I like going to conventions and shops and stuff. So I always look for it, but Star Wars Republic 65 has Mace Windu, Kit Fisto, Eth Koth, and Stacey Tin on the cover, and they look so good in it. That mid-2000s art style for comics, that was my favorite art style. I don't know, it made me think about it when we were talking about how we apparently love this trio that got unfortunately saddled with Mace Windu.
interesting. Well, I'm going to be on the lookout for that comic next time.
The last note that I had from Practice Makes Perfect was the first line when Anakin comes in and Obi-Wan says, "You're right on time." And Anakin says, "Really? I thought I was late." And Obi-Wan says, "That's what I meant." And it's like, oh, Obi-Wan's kind of a dick, but whatever. We like him anyway. And then later, the exact same interaction between Anakin and Ahsoka. And I get that Anakin is not the bastion for, emotionally healthy leadership that I would like him to be. But can we just end the cycle of abuse, Anakin, before Ahsoka clearly goes and treats Sabine like shit, and then Sabine leaves the Jedi also? Like, what? It made you feel like hell 10 minutes ago, and here you are doing it again. Bothered me to see that.
Trauma is generational.
Yeah, sure is. All right, last episode, Resolve. I'll go first with this one because I loved this episode. It had like all of the memorable parts of the Ahsoka arc. I thought that some of these we talked about that before. Like everything on that farm planet was awesome, and everything at the funeral was awesome. And the funeral was so sad because when Bail asks, "Why'd you come here?" and she says that she was my friend, and she like just lost all of her friends and family in the last 2 days, and she's not able to go to anyone's funeral except maybe Padme's. Like that is just so heartbreaking. And then that sequence where the clones interrupt them and Bale talks to the clones and he's really talking to Ahsoka. I love that. The fight scene with the Inquisitor was also good. I noted this time how Ahsoka clenches her fist to fight the Inquisitor, and it like pans to it, and then when he says her name, she unclenches it, and she like remembers who she is, and that not gonna be angry and vengeful. I loved that beat. And then the fight was all obviously very cool, and that Inquisitor was sick, way cooler than I remember. The way he drags his lightsaber through the grass, that was badass.
Yeah.
And his huge
I
cloak
agree.
that has the giant Empire insignias on the shoulders. I don't know why. It looks so cool.
How much do you think that costs? Like, when you work somewhere and you have to like buy shirts, it's like, hey, if you worked at Best Buy, you have this free Best Buy shirt. But then if you wanted the cool one, you have to buy it. It's like that Inquisitor is like buying in to a certain style.
He is all in. That's funny. He shows up in another background. I think it was Tales of the Empire. It was the Barriss arc when she was training to be an Inquisitor. He's in the background along with Merrick.
Yes, I remember that as well. What did you guys think of this episode? Matt, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, no, this is I think the best of the best. It's ultra sad. I have nothing honestly more to really say. Like you said, the only thing is the Inquisitor fight. I really liked. All of everything with him, but it ends just so quickly, and that's not what this is what the show's for. This isn't what anything. That's not why this is existing. He is more or less a that was like a plot device, but to let Ahsoka kind of know who she is, and I agree. The only thing that I will say is that every time they show a close up on a fist, it reminds me of the Arthur meme, and that's exactly what this one does too, because it's so close up on her fist, and it's basically the same angling. I feel like it's yes. Anyway, that's all. I'll yield my time. You guys are much more passionate about this, I feel like, than I am.
Max, what did you think of this episode?
Everything you guys have said already. Plus, it looks beautiful when the Inquisitor is walking through that fire. That's great animation right there.
It is.
But yeah, I visually, I wanted to just add that. It's fantastic. I like how easily she dispatches the Inquisitor without any sort of lightsaber, because afterwards I'm just like, yeah, she was trained to kill since she was exactly 1 year old. Like, she's a badass. And that's how this whole show comes full circle.
There's the loop. Bingo.
And then there's also a fan theory, because I don't think it's confirmed canon, that this is the Inquisitor that she takes the red kyber from to make her own white lightsabers. And that's why they're white, because it used to be red, and she bent it back, basically.
Purified it. Because this is like a soft adaptation of the Ahsoka novel, and so that's how it goes down in the Ahsoka novel. But that's a frustrating intersection of canon where two different things tell the same story. Yeah.
Down to the
Hate to
color
see
of her
it.
lightsaber and where she buried them, too. The Ahsoka novel. Is it a novel? I think it's a young adult, actually. Whatever. Yeah, it's a young adult.
Still a novel.
Yeah,
That's a novel.
it is. 1000%.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know you're trying to disparage young adult novels for being young adult based, but I don't support that.
No, I'm
will-
not,
I
because
will
one of
still
my
correct
favorite
you.
Star Wars books is still Lost
Stars.
Stars. Yes.
Yeah, me too. I haven't
I
read
don't know.
nearly as
I
much.
forget what I was
but
going
man,
to
that's a
say.
good one.
I forget what I was going to say about Ahsoka, the book, other than I don't even know if it's considered canon at this point. There's a lot of things that were contradicted and changed.
It is. All right. Does anyone have any high level thoughts to leave us with about Tales of the Jedi? I couldn't help but remember a time before Tales of the Empire, for better or for worse, right now, when we would spend our days talking about the next two Jedi that would be covered in season 2 of Tales of the Jedi, and instead we've gotten the 4 that we've gotten since, who have varied from great to bad. Still, I would have rather almost any other Jedi than any of the 4 people we had, with the exception of Barriss, before seeing what we got. Like, obviously, I would have rather seen an Asajj arc, but now that we got one and I don't like it, I'd rather not. And the opposite with Cad Bane. Barriss I would have liked to see, and we could fit that into a Tales of the Jedi season 2, but man, I just want more Jedi stories. Like, I obviously want Kit Fisto, I really want Baylan Skoll, or I don't know, any number of Jedi. Luke Skywalker. I missed that. I missed that optimism that might happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked it overall better the second time watching it. I still kind of feel like it's kind of like like kind of like Peanuts, kind of. It's not my favorite thing. It's fine. I liked it better this time. I think it is the best out of the other ones so far. But yeah, it's nothing too detrimental, I don't think, besides the funeral and Yaddle's death, really.
Luke, where do you put it with the other ones?
This series as opposed to the other 2 series?
Yeah.
I don't know, because probably, I mean, there's only 3, so I can only say best, middle, or last. Probably last. Probably last. I don't know. The Cad Bane arc
to me.
The Cad Bane
arc is
carries
incredible.
that series so high. I think that's my favorite arc.
I think the Asajj arc definitely brings that series back to just being mid. I think the Cad Bane arc is one of the best, and I think the Asajj arc is one of the worst. And then I feel like the Tales of the Empire is just very okay. Like, neither of them are good or bad. They're just...
the Barriss one was
like
great.
almost as good as Tales of the Empire, but for opposite reasons.
Tales of the Jedi. Or Tales of the Underworld.
Underworld, yeah. Tales of the Jedi, I think, is definitely the best, but regardless. All right, well, I'm glad that we finally talked about it, though, and got that all out in the open.
Yes, next time we discuss all 3 of them together, I will be much more equipped to. Maybe we should do a Tales of the Empire episode, because I don't think we ever did cover that one either in its own episode. I remember.
I think we
I don't know.
did. If not, we definitely should have. It was definitely written down on our list at one point. But regardless, we'll get to that. What I want to know is if anyone has any fours for thought.
I do. So I wrote one down earlier, which I will get to in the future, assuming I haven't already done this one. Because when I pulled up Phantom Menace on Disney Plus to fact check some of that Yaddle stuff, I remembered the last time I was watching Phantom Menace was to fact check my force for thought, and you'll have to remind me if I've done this one before. Have I, with the blast doors and Newt Gunray and Qui-Gon?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
That's definitely enough context. If I've said it, you'd remember it from that, because Qui-Gon is cutting a hole through the blast door on the Trade Federation ship, and Newt Gunray, the way I remember it now after having watched it in this context, is like Newt Gunray, his eyes pop out of his head, and he's like, oh my god, close the other doors. And then 3 more doors in the exact same spot close. So there are 4 doors that lead between these 2 hallways just for the dramatic closing of more doors. That is so silly.
Extra security.
Yeah, and he needed it, so I won't knock it. It's just so silly. I cannot believe that.
It's not so silly. It's got its practical reasons. You want to be well fortified in there.
Beyond what we just saw.
It is funny because it's basically just like, are they on the bridge in that scene?
I assume Newt Gunray is, yeah.
Yeah, I
and
think
Qui-Gon's trying to get into it.
Okay. Because I was gonna say it's a conference room, but that's not. It is the bridge. No, I think that makes sense. The fact that it's a really high level security thing. Okay, going on a plane to Florida when Max and I went on vacation, the pilots kept going to the bathroom, which was concerning in a different way. But the only way they took the cart, like the food cart, and blocked the aisle, and then the pilots came out. That doesn't seem safe to me.
That was the only thing stopping the hijackers.
Yeah, was Coca-Cola, basically. You know what I mean? Like, so I appreciate the 4-door method, which I will be suggesting.
You'd feel better if you saw the pilot coming out of the cockpit and slide 1 door open, slide another door open, slide a 3rd door open, and slide a 4th door open, come onto the other side, and then slide all 4 closed.
To be honest, I don't want to see it sliding. I want the first door to be a blockade.
Yeah, give them a bottle up there. They don't need to go to the bathroom. Cleveland,
Yeah.
Cleveland to Florida. That's like 3 hours. They can wait.
Yeah, exactly. Not even. Yeah, I mean they kept going. So I was like, what did they eat? And are we gonna be okay?
All right, that'll do it for us all here tonight. That conversation about Tales of the Jedi actually went way longer than I expected it to. Tales of our entire podcast. That's what happens every time we record an episode and think it's going to run short.
The intro joke was perfect for this.
Yeah, it was. Let us know what you think of Tales of the Jedi, or the how silly it is that the bridge to the Trade Federation ship has 4 doors on it that are controlled independently based on your level of security desired.
What if they have 4 different keys? Be so annoying.
All right. Let us know what you think. You can email us or reach out on social media. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
See you, Sammy.